Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So it's that time again. It's time for our 1-minute book recs. This is where we go over the books that we read in the past week with 1-minute synopsises for each book.
Yes.
Okay. But before we do that,
do you have your book journal? You ready to go?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've got it open and everything. I might lose my stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm ready. Do you have the timer ready?
I have the timer. I'm good to go over here.
Okay. So what do you want to tell me before we get going?
Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are doing lots of giveaways on our channel. And we're getting close to 2,000, which is our next big giveaway. So make sure you stay tuned for how you can win some of our favorite books.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so how was your reading week?
My reading week was pretty good. I got a bit of reading in. I got 11 books in.
Okay. My reading week was pretty good. I got 9 in, but I'm only going to talk about 5 because 2 were like duets and then 2 were rereads. So we don't need to listen to talk about them. But what I did read, I marked pretty high.
Oh, exciting.
Yes. So.
Okay. Well, before we dive in, I just wanted to make sure everyone knows if you have Amazon Music that you can get 1 free audiobook now a month. And so that's good through like the end of this month. So we're creeping up at the end of the month. So if you have Amazon Music, make sure you go grab an audiobook.
For sure. Are you ready to get started?
Yes, I'm going to be first.
I mean, this will teach you.
No kidding. Okay. I can't read anymore because I don't want to be first.
I'm sorry.
Well, first up, I am going through some weird voice changes, apparently. So first up, I have one of our favorite male narrators. I have an audiobook that he just did.
Yay! Okay, tell us about it.
So this is December Midnights by Victoria Wilder. Okay. And I said I had the timer, but I still need to set it. So this comes out today. When this video releases, this comes out. So the book's been out for a while, but the audio comes out today. So this is narrated by Tor Thom and Savannah Peachwood. And so you can just imagine that the narration is on fire. It's so good. So this is about Gray. He's an pro baseball player. He's been in an accident, so he's not able to play anymore. So he's kind of a little surly about that. And he has recently become like an investor in this inn, and he's come to town to try and help get the inn back on track. And the inn is ran by Aurora. Aurora believes that this winter solstice is going to be bringing her soulmate. So does she think that's Gray, or does she think it's somebody else? She just knows her soulmate is coming. So this was it's a holiday novella, but it's more centered around a little bit of magic in the winter solstice. And so I rated this 4 stars and 2 Christmas trees because there's not a ton of Christmas. It's more winter solstice.
Winter solstice.
Okay. So it's still a good holiday read. It just doesn't quite have that like Christmas cheer.
Okay.
My Christmas cheer reading, though, has nothing to do with like the rating of the book, just to make sure that's clear.
No. Okay.
So, go listen to this one. It's a great one.
Okay. So the first book that I listened to this week, I actually listened to this one. I didn't physically read this one, but this one is an author we met when we did Rain City in Seattle, and I hadn't ever read anything by her. So when this popped up, I was like, oh, let's try it. Shockingly enough, this was not the book that I bought from her because I bought a book from her. This was a different one. So this is The Unwanted Bride by Nadia Lee. This one is an arranged marriage situation, but this is about Grace and Huxley. So Huxley is like, his whole family is a bunch of lawyers, and they're really, prominent in this town, in this upper echelon. And he has gone against the grain, and he has started his own business, and his mom is not happy about that. His mom and his grandma, and they're pushing him that he has to get married. Like, he has to choose between these 2 sisters. He has to get married. He has to marry into this other family, whether he likes it or not. And there was like a a clause in a thing that he had signed at one point that so he can't get out of it. Like his parents had him sign it, and you'll find all about all that in here. One night, 2 years before this book starts, he sees a girl on the side of the road, drenched, just, it was pouring down rain, and she's having like the worst day of her life. And so he lets her get into his fancy new car, and she gets his seats all wet, and she needs to get to the hospital right away. So he takes her to the hospital, doesn't see her for 2 years. And then when he sees her again, they have a one night stand. And then he decides, well, he's going to cash in on this favor that she owes him. And he is going to have her be his fake fiance for a while. Little does he know that she is one of the 2 sisters he's supposed to marry.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I gave this a solid 4 stars. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. So go check that one out.
In all my years of living, I don't think I've ever been asked to be somebody's fake girlfriend or fake fiance, nor have I ever asked anybody to do that.
You know, here's the deal. I think we really missed out on a few things.
I think we did.
Also not been chased through the woods either.
Oh my gosh, you need to let that go because that would have been terrifying. Let's just be honest.
I noticed I looked over to where the husband was at and he just ignored me.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think I'll ever get chased through the woods. Okay.
People probably think that you refer to him as the husband because you don't want to use his name on the video, but that's really what you refer to him. It's like he's an object in your home, like the refrigerator, the couch, the husband, the dog.
Yes.
I mean, it's weird. Okay. So my next book, this is so funny. My next book, literally in my journal here, like I did not go out of order at all. My next book is one that I got at Rain City from an author there. And I actually did read the book that I bought from her. Okay. And that is Mississippi King by Celia Aaron. Have you read this one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I do love Celia Aaron, though.
So this is Mississippi King, which starts the Mississippi Kings series. Okay, so we have Arabelle and Benton for this one. So Benton's dad is like the patriarch of the family and their law firm, and he is found murdered. And he wants to find out really badly who murdered his dad because there's a lot of weird stuff that he starts discovering about his dad. And so he's very invested in this, but he also looks extremely suspicious in this as well. So Arabelle is the detective and she's determined to figure out what's going on, what happened, because after he is murdered, other people start getting murdered in the town as well. She's also a single mom, and her and Benton get close pretty quick. And so, you know, we have like that romantic suspense going on that she's a single mom. And yeah, so I rated this one 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I don't know what it is, Jessica, but sometimes I can really get on board with Insta Love, and then other times it drives me nuts. Yeah. I think because this was heavily focused on the romantic suspense, that Insta Love was a little bit difficult for me. Like her little girl gets involved very quickly, and like they become like this couple during this murder investigation, but it just was a little too Insta Lovey for me. I still completely enjoyed it. I don't know what it is about myself. Like sometimes I can really get on board with Insta Love, and then other times I'm like, oh, that's too Insta Lovey for me. So
yeah, I feel the same way. Sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't. So it just kind of depends on what's happening in the book, I think, and the way it's written. So yeah,
definitely love this one though, and I will continue on with the series.
I also think your mood affects that too when you go into a book. So
I just had a really hard time believing that the little girl was this attached to him this quickly, and that she is saying things to him about make sure my daughter's okay. Like if something happens to her and they don't really know each other. I think that's where the Insta Love went wrong for me, is because there was a kid involved. But maybe the connection was so deep that she felt like I don't know.
Yeah, it's all good.
I'm not trying to tear it apart. I really did enjoy it.
You did enjoy it. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the next book I read is one that you and I both wanted to read. And you have more to read in the series, but I've been keeping up. So this is Rally by Devney Perry. So this is their third book in her Treasure State Wildcats series. I think this is my favorite in the Treasure State Wildcats series. This is about Fay and Rush. So Rush is the quarterback. The books we've gotten prior have been the coaches. Now we have a player. So he is the quarterback. He is from a wealthy family, but he is also like the star. Like everybody knows who Rush is. And then you have Faye. She is from the other side of the tracks. She is struggling to make ends meet. She lives with a boyfriend that she has broken up with and she wants nothing to do with, but she works constantly. She doesn't have a lot of money. And she's just out there struggling. So one day she decides she has to get away. She goes to go camping in the woods. And that is she gets a flat tire and she can't get the lug nuts off. And this guy pulls up behind her and she's like, great, someone's going to kill me. So she has the bear spray out. And that is where she first meets Rush. He changes her tire and he is blown away that she doesn't recognize him. They go to the same college, but everybody knows who Rush is. So he's really blown away, but he's also attracted to that. And when she goes camping, she ends up setting up close to him and they spend the weekend together. Then they don't see each other for quite a while. And then they have a one-night stand when they see each other, which leads to a baby. And then you have there's just a lot of tension. There's a lot of turmoil because everybody's like, oh, she's after him for his money and she's after him for his fame, where she's just trying to make it and she's just trying to survive. I actually gave this one 5 stars. I loved it. I really enjoyed this one. It was my favorite one in the series.
You threw me when you said you've been keeping up better than me because I haven't read anything in that series.
That's what I meant. I've been keeping up. I read the series and I know you want to read this, but I feel like you don't have to.
Keeping up, there's no competition. I haven't even started.
Sorry. But I feel like they're standalones. So you really don't have to read the first 2 books in the series, but I think you get better enjoyment if you read them in order because then you know what's going on. You know who these other characters are that are mentioned and all that stuff. So, but I really love Devney Perry's writing. She's always at least a 4, if not higher for me. So
that's good.
Yeah. Okay. What do you got next?
Okay, well, next I have Such a Good Guy by Kate Raven. This one just came out. So, Jessica, you would love this one because it is a dark stalker romance, but this is a brother's best friend that you can get behind. Okay. So, Luke is best friends with Luna's brother. And Luke is in love with Luna. Like, he is like the golden retriever of all golden retrievers. Just there's one little tiny problem. He is legitimately a psychopath. He will say that. He acknowledges this. He stalks her. He does everything in his power to make Luna's life better. If Luna makes an offhanded comment about something, he goes for it. So when she makes the comment about nobody wants to be a family guy anymore, he takes that and runs with it. Like things that we would not be okay with. He does. So, like for example, he hears her talking with some friends about Mr. Darcy and being such a gentleman, to the point where he's ready to go eliminate that threat. Until he finds out Mr. Darcy is a fictional character. Mm-hmm. The man is unhinged, but he is unhinged and only wanting to make Luna's life better. So I loved it. I gave it 5 stars.
It's awesome. I do think that Mr. Darcy is a threat to a lot of men out there, just in general, but I got it. Fictional character and all. So, Okay. So the next book I read is a duet. I didn't read it. I actually had an ALC for this. I was so excited to get these ALCs because I wanted to read these books for a while. The first 2 are on audio, but the first 2 were already on audio, but now we've got the last 2. So this is Across Time and Across Eternity by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I don't necessarily think, because these are books 3 and 4 in her parallel series, I don't necessarily think you have to read books 1 and 2 to jump into these. You should. There's only a little tiny piece at the end where, as somebody who's read the first 2, you can make a connection, but I don't think it would hurt you at all if you didn't read the first 2. But I think you should.
But if you wanted to read the whole series, the 3rd and 4th book would give away major things in the beginning. So you really should start.
And I'm just going to put, hold up the one and not both of them here. So the ALC the audio is done by one of our favorites, Samantha Brentmore, and then Shane East is the male narrator, and they did such a good job. Now, Shane East typically has an English accent, and I heard him with an American accent here, and I was like, whoa, that was weird. So that was kind of funny. But this is about Amelie and Henri or Henry, but in French they say it Henri, but I can't keep saying that, so we're going to call him Henry. But Amelie is a time traveler, and she travels back in time from the 1980s. She goes back 50 years to just before the German troops occupy France. So she travels back to France because she's told she has to go back and help this brother and sister couple, not couple, they're brother and sister. You guys get it. She's on their farm in France, and Henry he does not like her at first, but she's there to help them. And they know about time traveling. And so something happens where she gets stuck there. And it's just, there's not a lot I can tell you about these books, but oh my God, they're so good. There's so much to them. You're just before the war. There's all these things that are happening. God, so good. I mean, I gave it 5 stars. It's definitely going to be on my favorites of the month, if not my favorites of the year. So go pick them up. Just go listen to them. Samantha did a phenomenal job. She was just, it got to that point where we've talked with Samantha quite a bit, and it's got to that point when I was starting to listen. I was like, oh, Samantha's going to read to me. But then after the book was over, I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot that was Samantha. And so she did her job. Like, she did her job well for that to happen. So what?
My next book is a book that I listened to, and Samantha Brentmore was the narrator. I don't understand how this keeps happening. It's so funny.
I don't know. I do want to say though too, and you've mentioned this before, if you read these books, when you're done, you can go to Elizabeth's website. There is a short, it's not a novella. I mean, they can call it a novella, but it is an epilogue, an extended epilogue. So I would recommend going and reading that, because it is definitely worth it. It's very, very short. It's just a couple chapters. So
yeah, it wraps up things and answers questions you might have been left with afterwards.
Yes, exactly. So, okay. Tell me about your Samantha book.
Okay, Jessica. Yes. My next book was phenomenal. It's a full cast narration. And Teddy Hamilton does not play the main character, but he plays the side character. And I actually, you're supposed to not like this character. And Teddy does I never thought I could hate a character that Teddy Hamilton did, but the way he portrays his voice for this, oh my gosh, I was on board with hating him. So, yes. Okay. Right. So this is My Favorite Holiday by Lauren Blakely. So the audiobook and the book came out at the same time. Highly recommend the audiobook because of that full cast narration. So Samantha Brentmore voices Fable, and Jason Clark does Wilder. And they are at a friend's Thanksgiving when it starts. Some stuff happens, and so Fable ends up no longer with her boyfriend, Brady, played by Teddy Hamilton. And due to everybody kind of being interconnected, Fable's sister is going to be getting married. Wilder is the boss of the company she works for. He's a billionaire. And his aunt is always meddling and forcefully trying to set him up. And because of all the stuff that goes down at Thanksgiving, Fable now has to go and be in her sister's wedding, and they're going to be staying and doing these holiday Christmas themed, very Hallmarkish Christmas competitions for a week leading up to the wedding. That's going to be right before Christmas. And so she and Wilder decide to go together and pretend to be a couple. So he gets his aunt off his back, and she can kind of save face with the situation that happened. So from there, we just have all the wonderful things with Christmas competitions happening. I love this book so much, so much. This was a 5-star book. 5 Christmas trees, because it just has all the Christmas cheer with everything. But the tropes do not I know it's fake dating and billionaire romance and Christmas competitions, but nothing feels overused or recycled in here. It all has such a fun, refreshing feel to it. And I really think part of that has to do with obviously Lauren Blakely's writing, but the full cast narration just really brings it to life. So love this one a lot.
Awesome. Okay, so my next book was an ARC that I received. And before I start talking about this book, it's an arranged marriage mafia situation. But the author has a novella that's a prequel novella on her website that is free that you really should read before you get into this, because it's very small. It's very short. But it sets up, because it sets up the characters' situation and how they became arranged to be married. Because when the book starts out, they're already in it. Like, they're in it to win it, and they've already been arranged. So it's already been arranged. They're already engaged. So definitely go check that out. I'll tell you here. It's called, so this book is, the book itself is called Wicked Desires by Cora Kent. And if you go to her website, the novella is Simple Pleasures. So just look up Cora Kent, her website, you can go get to it. But this is the story of Lucia and Savero, I think is how you say it. Like, every time I stumble, I just been calling him Sav. It just makes life a lot easier. So Lucia and Sav are engaged. They're from rival families. She doesn't want to marry him. Her brother is trying to get her out of marrying him. There was a situation that happened in the novella where it's explained how they got into this situation, but somebody was killed. There was revenge. And so he's getting to marry her because of that. We find out very early on that Sav is actually marrying her for revenge, because Lucia's brother had dated Sav's sister, and something happened where I don't know if he deflowered her or whatever it was, but something happened where she kind of went a little crazy. Now she's living in a convent, and her reputation has been ruined. And so he basically, like, he wants to marry Lucia, and they've had this relationship since she was 18. There's a big age gap. He was like 30 and she was like 18. And it's kind of, we see that in flashbacks. But his ultimate goal in having her as his fiance is to ruin her, get her pregnant, and then do the same thing to her that her brother supposedly did to his sister. So this one definitely has birth control manipulation. It has she has that ecstasy thingy in her arm, and he's like, I want it out. It's a whole thing. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's Mafia. It's dark, a little unhinged. Just how I like them. Okay.
Well, my next book is a novella, so I can be pretty quick. So we probably don't need to switch over and do the timer. I promise I'll be under a minute. So this is Bachelor No. 10 by Kat Baxter. And this was a new to me author, but I did really enjoy this one. So we have Willow. Willow is a PA to a supermodel who is just not very pleasant, and she goes through PAs quite frequently, but Willow has learned to deal with her. But she makes a comment like, if I drank, like, because she only like has a smoothie and tea, like, that's all she's like, if I had to drink all my calories, I would be a bitch too. But she sends Willow to the Bachelor auction because there's media around it, so she doesn't want the supermodel lady doesn't want to go do it herself, so she sends Willow to go bid on this famous football player from Scotland. So it's like soccer, but football. Yeah. Anyways, so she does, and Abbott is very taken with her when she bids on him, and she's like, but I'm a nobody. It's my supermodel boss that wants you. So this has insta love, but I really enjoyed it in this one. Okay.
What'd you rate it?
4 stars.
Okay, cool. All right. So this is my last one for the week. Okay, so we did our interview with Rin Sher. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. It was great. But in the interview, she talks about her book, The Woman, and it's this dystopian book. And I was like, oh, I got to read that. So I did. So let's talk about that, because I was all over this. So this, again, is called The Woman. It's by Rin Sher. This is about Avery and Phoenix. So this is dystopian, but it's not like the world has crashed and been ruined. It's just our world. It's just a little dystopian. So in this world, women, when I think it was either the age of 4 or 5, are sent to go live in like a compound. There's all these different compounds. And when you are 30 as a man, you get to go get your woman. You get to go choose from this lot of women which one you want to be your companion for the rest of your life. And these women are believed to like there's nothing going on up here. There's no personality, there's no brains, there's no smarts. They're not allowed to make decisions for themselves. And that's where you have Phoenix. He comes in, he's actually 25, but he has just been promoted. His grandfather has an architect firm and they run the city. And so Grandpa's like, well, you're 25, we just promoted you, but you get to go get your woman early. And he is not happy about this because he's very dedicated to his work. And, they're like puppies. he's going to have to feed it, and he's going to have to clothe it, and he's going to have to make sure it eats. He's going to have to make sure it does all these things. Like, she's supposed to take care of him, but apparently it's like Stepford Wives times a million kind of a situation. But these women don't have personalities. But he finds out as he gets Avery, he's not very good to Avery, but he finds out very shortly after she's there with him that she's playing his piano. Like, she's giving him looks and reacting to things she shouldn't. And so she is technically defective if she has a personality. And that's how this whole thing comes around. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. It was so good. Like, all these 30-year-old virgins out here. I mean, it was great. Sometimes they share their women with other people, but oh my God. So good.
It sounds good. Very different.
It was different. And I think that's part of the reason why I gave it 5 stars. The premise was so different. It was different from other dystopians that I've read too. It was just different, and I loved it. So guys, go get it. It was good. So, okay. Now it's the Mandy show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my next book is one that I was really excited about, and then it fell really flat for me.
I hate when that happens. Okay, tell us about it.
So this is Amnesia it's by Kelly Elliott, but she's writing as Ellie Grace, which the front cover says that, as you can see, so I'm not giving anything away. So this is, I think, her first dabble into dark romance. And so we have the blurbs talks about how she's running from her captor and she collapses and someone picks her up and she's like, I just can only hope that it's my savior and not my captor. So I kind of, I think, then went in thinking this was going to be different than what it was, because like 3-4 pages in, we find out right away that it's like when she gets picked up, we already know that it is going to be her savior. And so Liam brings her back to his house, and the story is like them trying to figure out who she is because she has amnesia, and who took her in the first place, where this person might be, because she got to his place on foot. So it has to be somewhere, fairly close by, that was holding her and that sort of thing. I felt like it was going to be a different story than what it was, I think. And then also there were just some stuff that kind of like, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick it apart a little bit. I rated it 3 stars, but the reason being is because he lives on this big ranch. He finds her out in the field and he brings her back to her house, and she's asleep for 2 days. He does not call the police. He does not have a doctor come by. He doesn't take her to the hospital. Like, I'm like, I don't get that. Like, if you find a woman on your property that's injured, you're not just going to stick her in a bed and let her sleep for 2 days.
Injured and unconscious.
Yes. So that really bothered me a lot, and kind of took me out of the story a little bit, because I couldn't get over that part. And I was already dealing with the fact that the book, I felt like the blurb was a little misleading on where it was going, because we know right away, you're only a few pages in.
Yeah.
And then there was just other things, she's an adult, and she refers to the guy who took her as the bad man. Well, the bad man. And to me, that felt very childish. Like, that feels like something a child would say about somebody. Like, evil man would even make more sense. Yeah. I don't know. So I guess after I just kind of got into it, and then everything started to bug me. Yeah, potential. And you might like it if you take my review and know that you're getting the part from where she's picked up by him, and it's the romantic suspense of who took her, what happened, and you're going in with that. Maybe your experience will be a lot better than mine. So, and again, I really like Kelly Elliott. I love her Meet Me in Montana series. I really enjoyed that. So, yeah.
Okay. That would have drove me nuts too, because I would like to, being a dark romance reader, those are the things I want to see. So, yeah. Okay. All right. What else you got?
Oh, yeah.
It's still your turn.
Okay. Next, I have an arc that I got. It's All I Want for Christmas is the Hot Fireman Next Door. And this is by Rebecca Noreen Caudill. Sorry, I'm probably saying that wrong. So this is about Kelly and James. So Kelly and James, we saw them in the other book, the All I Want for Christmas Is My Best Friend's Brother. And so this is the best friend, so Callie, and then James is another firefighter, and he lives next door to her, and he is also best friends with her brother. And so we got a lot of tropes going on. But they actually like each other, and this starts off just kind of as a very sweet Hallmarky vibe romance between the two of them. Not a lot of drama, not a lot of angst as they're working their way towards each other. And then Sterling comes to town and kind of throws a wrench into things, but not between the couple, but just in her needing to, like, he brings about some revelations
Revelation.
that she needs to deal with, which could impact her relationship. So
Okay.
I rated that 4 stars and 3 on the Christmas cheer.
Okay.
Okay. Then now you know how I feel most
I know.
weeks.
I know.
It's a weird turn of events.
It'll
Okay.
swap back once the business gets going out here, once everything launches. So
Or
it's
maybe I'll
temporary,
just
Mandy,
be
I
able to
promise.
keep this up.
Yeah,
You never know.
You never know. Yeah.
Okay. So my next book is an ALC. It's The Invitation by Adriana Locke, and it just came out last week. So it is narrated by Jason Clark and Lexi Maynard, and they do a fantastic job. So we have Georgia and Ripley, who are enemies. They do not like each other at all. And their best friends are doing a TV pilot show based on putting a couple together based on like their internet search histories and stuff. And the people who are supposed to star in it end up not being able to do it, and they end up agreeing to participate to basically help their friends out and save the show, but they don't realize that both of that each other, like who the other person is going to be, until it is time. And so they end up having to fake date each other because they're both very determined not to let their friends TV pilot tank. And so from there, we have 2 people who really don't like each other who are trying to do dating activities and pretend to be like falling for each other. So it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. The narration was fantastic. And there's this funny scene in there, which just was made so much better by the dual narration, where they go on a hike and then things go awry. And he's like upset that they took this particular hike because she wanted to pick it because it had the cuter named trail. And then it's like now downpouring. And she's like, who doesn't check the weather before you go on a hike? And so they're like having this very coupley fight up in the middle of nowhere on this hike. And I was like, anybody who's ever been in a relationship knows exactly what is going down right now. And it was funny to me. It probably wasn't meant to be funny, but it was so relatable. And I think the narration just really helped with that. So this was 5 stars. I loved it. And I love the different reason to be fake dating, because I love fake dating, but it does get old after a while because it feels the same. So this is totally different. They're fake dating to be on this TV show to help their friends. So they're very determined not to be the one to mess it up.
Yeah. Okay. I did forget to say when I was talking about the ALCs that I have that were Elizabeth's, those are out now. Those just came out, so you can get them. So, oops, forgot to say that. Yeah.
Go listen to those.
Go listen to those. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, my next book is not an ARC or an ALC, but it's not out until December 2nd. And this is Second Down Scrooge by Lisa Suzanne. We got this. We went to her table first because she said she has extra copies or like advanced copies of it.
Actually,
I'm like, we have to go there.
Wait, it was the guilt trip. It was, if she sells out, I'm never going to forgive you. Like that, it was a guilt trip. I was like, well, shit. Okay, we'll go get them.
I didn't want to miss out. Okay. So,
okay, tell
everyone else, you can grab your copy on December 2nd. And I believe the audio's coming for it too.
I think so too. Yeah.
So this is Kelly and Austin's story, and we meet both of them in dating the defensive back, which is part of the very first actual Nash Brothers books. So Austin is the guy who, makes some really bad choices and does some shady stuff and gets Kelly pregnant in that book. And so this is their story. So they've had the baby, they're co-parenting, things are going along pretty well. Kelly still is greatly attracted to him, but she just doesn't feel like she can trust him. And Austin is like very dedicated to his daughter Mia and very dedicated and basically in love with Kelly. But he has like that sad backstory, and we get to know him a little bit better and understand that he just really doesn't know how exactly to show love, or that he even believes that he can be loved. It's really, really sad. I'm making sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, and then, yeah, Kelly's just very guarded with her heart because she doesn't want to trust him again and have him mess up, you know? Um, but if you look at the cover, you can see that they're all wearing matching gingerbread shirts, sweaters, and that actually happens in the book. I love this one so much. So I gave it 5 stars and 4 Christmas cheers. So this was Second Chance, but it's kind of a different feel of Second Chance. And it just happens to kind of coincide with Christmas. Nobody's like going back home um, to, write their journal piece and they get stuck in the snow.
So can you read that
like that.
as a standalone? If you're just looking for a Christmas book, can you read it as a standalone?
You could definitely read it as a standalone, but if you understand that, like, there's no spoilers or anything like that in here. Like, I think she's marketing it as a standalone. So it's just these side characters from this other series.
Okay. Good to know.
I mean,
all right.
All of Lisa Suzanne's stuff is really good. So you wouldn't be doing yourself a disservice by reading her other series, but it does not have to be read in order.
Okay.
Okay. My next one is an ALC, and this is I think it's the last book in Shel Sloan's series. So this is The One I Hate, and it is narrated by Chris Chambers and Stephanie Rose. This is Simon's story. Simon is our dedicated bachelor who's very proud about being the bachelor of the friend group. And remember, this friend group is like a little bit older, so we're not just talking about like bachelors in their early 20s. But Simon, this is where he wants to be in life. But he falls hard for Charlie. And like when I say he falls hard. And he manipulates some things to make sure that Charlie's going to be able to stay in his life. And yeah, I mean, this is Second Chance. It's also surprise pregnancy, which is detailed in the blurbs, not giving anything away there. I rated this one a 4. I really like Simon. Charlie was a little bit difficult for me a few times, but maybe that's just because I know Simon's motives and she didn't necessarily know Simon's motives, but I felt like she got a little too hung up on herself a few times.
Okay. All right.
Then my last one is also an ALC, but the audio is coming out the same day as the book is coming out, which I'm looking at my calendar, is November 26th. So this video airs on Monday, so it's the next day.
Okay.
This is fantastic. This starts off a new series called Wildfire. This is From Air by Julie Ann. Oh my gosh, fantastic. Okay, so we have Jamie and Calvin. So Jamie is a traveling oh my God, I'm not going to be able to say that. Psychiatric nurse.
There you go. Good job.
Did I get it out? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat that again. And she goes to Montana for her next assignment, and she gets a room with a bunch of firefighters, and Calvin is one of them, and he's a smoke jumper, and he is very guarded. He, kind of closed off, a little bit grumpy, and she's determined to like get him to open up a little bit. And so they have like this really fun, playful banner, which I just think when you have really good banner in your book and then you get really good audio, it just elevates that to a whole new level. And so we have that happening, but there's also secrets that are happening as well, of course, because there's always got to be something in our books, right? And he is just adamant he does not want to have a relationship. He does not want anyone to ever have to worry about him. He doesn't want kids, none of that stuff. And Jamie really starts to fall for him. So, yeah. And there's a lot of other stuff happening. I love this one so much. I gave it 5 stars, and I cannot wait for the next one to come out.
Okay. That's it.
That wraps me up. Time for bed.
Time for bed. All right. So that's it for this week.
Yes. So make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. And make sure you keep an eye on our Wednesdays. So you might want to hit that notification button. We have some fun author interviews that will be coming up soon. So you're definitely going to want to check back for those.
Definitely. And happy Thanksgiving to those who are in the US and celebrate American Thanksgiving, because Canada has its own Thanksgiving in October. So they've already done that.
You never know. People outside of the US might still want to have a Thanksgiving feast.
Sometimes.
You never know.
Who doesn't want a turkey? Apparently everybody in my house but me. And pie. Anyhow, so we hope you guys have a great holiday for those who celebrate it. And we'll see you in the next video.
Yes. And we are very thankful for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Nice touch.
You're welcome.
See you guys later.
And books. We're thankful for books.
Always books.